What is going on, Notre Dame fans? Mike's here and Kyle Kelly live on the Blue and Gold YouTube channel discussing some big news for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Marcus Freeman's group just landed a commitment from four-star safety JaDon Blair from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Mount Tabor High School. On3 carried the commitment. There were a little bit of technical difficulties on the end. I guess there was so much eruption of excitement that the sound went out or something. So yeah, I got to hop on, talk about it a little bit, and knock on wood, hoping to have JaDon and or his father Jay join us on the Blue and Gold YouTube channel to talk more about it. Kyle, I'll go to you as I get some things produced here on the back end. JaDon Blair to Notre Dame. Great get for the Irish.
Yeah, this is a heck of a get. And when you look at this defensive backfield that they've compiled in the 2025 class, I mean, it's just tremendous. I know some of our Notre Dame historian fans on our loose emoji message board have talked quite a bit about this potentially being one of the best defensive back hauls in entire recruiting history for Notre Dame with the type of guys they have in this class. And I was just scrolling through Notre Dame's commit list a little bit before JaDon Blair committed, and I'm scrolling through, and I see JaDon Blair, I think, is the fourth highest ranked defensive back in Notre Dame's class. In most years, JaDon Blair would be like the headliner in Notre Dame's secondary. But they still have Ivan Taylor, who's a borderline five-star recruit. Notre Dame thinks he's a five-star. They still have Dallas Golden, who I think is a five-star, who I think is a top 100 recruit. They got Mark Zachary, who's the best cornerback in the Midwest. And now you add JaDon Blair into the fold. And plus two extremely underrated guys in Cree Thomas and Ethan Long. Both those guys are 3-stars. I think Notre Dame thinks both those cats are 4-stars. I view them as 4-star prospects. What a haul for Mike Mickens in the Notre Dame secondary in the 25 class.
Yeah. Yeah, this DB class is insane. Now, got to hold on to Ivan Taylor, but when you let's pull up the for folks watching on YouTube, and if you're watching on YouTube, watching live with us, watching back, please hit the thumbs up on this video. Help support what we're doing here at Blue and Gold. Of course, subscribe if you are new here. If you're listening via podcast, thank you very much as well for this little special show. I mean, we always do our Friday shows, but we were not about to do a Friday 1 p.m. right before JaDon Blair commits at 3. So it kind of worked out that we're going to do this after his commitment. And again, we are hoping to get the Blair family on the show live with us at some point, but you get to hear from us until that happens. Fingers crossed on it. If you're listening to a podcast, thank you as well. Please leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcast if you like the show. This DB class, Kyle, and this commitment, I'm pretty sure I took a screenshot of where the class ranked before the commitments, and it was number 7 with a score of 91.444, and it moved up to 91.71 with the Blair commitments. So that jumped the Irish from 7th to 6th place in the team rankings. How many? I mean, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 top 100 recruits: Will Black, Deuce Knight, Ivan Taylor, Mark Zachary, Chris Burgess, Dallas Golden, 107, just outside that mark, James Flanagan, JaDon Blair, Owen Strebig. That's a lot of guys in the top 300 of the On3 industry ranking. Anthony Sacca. The class is rolling right now. And like you said, I've made this point a lot of times. If you go back a few years, even like a Cree Thomas, Ethan Long combo would be like your top 2 players in a lot of Notre Dame secondary classes. And they're the 2 lower ranked guys, and they are phenomenal prospects in their own right. So tip of the cap to Mike Mickens for, this. I mean, obviously Marcus Freeman, Chad Bowden, Al Golden, it really is a team effort, Kyle, as you know, but it's a tremendous defensive back class. So anything you want to add on that, and then we can talk more about, we can pop on Blair's film.
Yeah, we talk about Mike Mickens a lot for being a key piece, or like kind of the conductor of assembling, or I would guess I call him the architect of assembling this defensive back class. But I think in the JaDon Blair recruitment, major props goes to Marcus Freeman and Chad Bowden, head coach, director of recruiting, or now actually head director of player personnel. That tandem, they really kept this recruitment piece together after Blair's primary recruiter, Chris O'Leary, left for the Chargers in February. Mickens took in full stride from there, but Freeman and Bowden played a massive role in not letting this recruitment go by the wayside in favor of, say, Michigan or Penn State. They kept a pulse here. Mickens took over, and the rest is history.
All right, yeah, let's talk about this recruiting win. Okay, so like I've mentioned on the live stream, and you can find this story at Blue and Gold. I mean, it's definitely the place to be right now. We had commitments story. I got to talk to JaDon Wednesday, I think it was, about his commitments. Kyle, you wrote your column, and then the expert reaction piece, Charles Power, sent me a 5-minute audio clip. So there's a lot from Charles on JaDon Blair, and then some thoughts from Tim Hyde and Tom Lemming as well. And then right when Blair announced his decision, we posted a YouTube video that Tim Hyde and I recorded after our live show Tuesday. So you can get Tim Hyde's full thoughts there as well. So don't miss any of it. But so I talked about this in the live show, the live commitment stream, and as well in that article that Notre Dame was the leader, drops down, and then they picked it right back up. And this was a real battle. Like Penn State, I thought was a leader for a long time, and they probably were, especially after O'Leary left. Michigan really surged. What a nice recruiting win for the Irish over two recruiting rivals. Like, you beat Michigan, the defending champs. I don't know if you want to put an asterisk next to that. I'll let you guys decide. You beat those two teams. You beat Florida State. Louisville, South Carolina, all those teams, but not really nice recruiting win. This was a battle. This is one that Notre Dame felt for a while that they led, really going into those summer officials. But in the back of their mind, they're thinking, man, like anything can happen. They didn't get the last OV, Kyle. They didn't. I mean, that was he went to Notre Dame midweek, the 11th through the 13th. I interviewed him about his official on his way to Ann Arbor. Like, he went straight to Ann Arbor, and then it was FSU midweek, and then it wrapped up with Penn State. Here's something interesting, Kyle. I might have JaDon tell this story too, but just in case we don't, I didn't include this in this article because the commitment article, I just didn't want it to come across the wrong way. When he called Freeman to commit, he kind of trolled Freeman a little bit. He told Freeman about the Penn State visit and how great it was and how much he really was vibing with the Nittany Lions to kind of set it up as, Coach, I'm going to Penn State. And Freeman basically said to him, he said, "Oh, don't do it to me like this." And then he said he was just kidding with him. And they have that kind of relationship where it was okay. So Blair kind of set him up thinking he's going to Penn State. And, I mean, JaDon did that to us on the commitment stream as well, picking up the Michigan, picking up the Penn State hats, and ultimately ending up with Notre Dame. So it might not be everyone's cup of tea, these kind of things, but it's fun. It's all in good fun. And, Notre Dame gets their guy. Huge recruiting win, Kyle. Anything else you want to add on this before we look at some tape? And then Jay Blair just texted me, are expecting to get him in here pretty soon.
So I didn't want to bring this up, but I think it is. This is part of the story. This point I'm going to put up or make. Notre Dame beat Michigan again on the recruiting trail.
Again?
Recruit. I mean, I think this is 8 or 9 in the 25 class. So Notre Dame's been head to head. Like, there's teams on the recruiting trail that they run into often. It's Ohio State, it's Michigan, Clemson in the past. There's a lot of these programs. Wisconsin, I've mentioned as being, believe it or not, really big one in the 25 cycle. But Notre Dame's big competition in 25 has been Michigan. And they've defeated the Wolverines for every one of those guys. James Flanagan. I mean, there's so many
Black.
guys. Ethan Long, Will Black.
Will Black was predicted to Michigan.
Exactly. So I really don't want this to be viewed as like I'm taking a shot at Michigan. Mark Zachary, they beat him for, but
Burgess.
it's just impressive to see Notre Dame, like with Michigan coming off a national championship season. I know they've had some coaching turnover, but Sharon Moore, he was there. He won like half the games last season in the regular season and beat Ohio State. He got elevated after Harbaugh left. Michigan's a pretty steady program. Like I said, they're coming off a championship victory, but Notre Dame is just wiping them on the recruiting trail with the guys they've won. Not to mention also keeping Chad Bowden in the fold after they tried to poach him away from Notre Dame. So
Great point. Matty
yeah.
Augustine was another, I think.
Yep,
Ethan
Long.
Ethan
So,
Long, yeah. I
a
know
lot
Ethan
of
was more
guys
so
that-
Ohio State, Penn State, but you just go down the list, man. I don't know. I'm fired up about the class, man. It's an exciting class. Blair was a big one, and moving forward, I mentioned this on the message board today, Kyle. I could see with the 3 receivers they have left on the board, Derek Meadows, Tino Kynes, and Dylan Robinson. I could see them getting all 3. I could see them getting 0 of the 3. I could see them getting 2 of the 3, 1 of the 3. I could see any scenario. It's pretty unpredictable. Like I kind of feel like Notre Dame leads for all of them, but then I could also see Notre Dame getting none of. Like it's. Are you with me on that?
those are really tough recruitments to read right now. I mean, just to give a quick synopsis, Tino Kynes, he's going to commit on Monday. Notre Dame USC battle. Now Texas is kind of trending, or not trending, but they're really in the thick of it after 5-star plus wide receiver DeCorey Moore surprise committed to Oregon after being an in-state guy last. He committed to Oregon last night. He's an in-state guy. Everyone predicted him to Texas. Now everyone's wondering what the Longhorns are going to do to make up for that loss on the trail, and Tino Kynes is a possibility. July 18th, Dylan Robinson is going to come off the board. He's trying to decide in between going to play defense at UCLA or Washington or wide receiver at Notre Dame. And then there's Derek Meadows, who made his 5 official visits to Michigan, Georgia, Notre Dame, LSU, and Alabama. Really feels like a Notre Dame-Alabama battle down the stretch, and he's going to commit sometime before September 1st, but it feels like that one's going to happen sooner than later. So, yeah, those are pretty much the guys, right? We all know the linebackers, Nathaniel Usu-Boateng and Madden Faramo are left. We've talked about these recruitments ad nauseum. I mean, we're just like over and over. Like, it's even more frustrating reporting on them because sometimes like there's no new details that emerge. That's where we're at right now, and it's got to feel good for Notre Dame and the staff who are all on vacation right now to know that they picked up a heck of a recruit with JaDon Blair on Friday.
Yeah. No, it's kind of weird because we're in a slow point of the year for our jobs, Kyle, because there's not a whole lot going on. But the one thing that's going on is like the biggest thing. It's commitments. Like June official visits lead to July commitments. Yep. So it's it's tricky from that point of view. So I didn't get to talk about this in the live stream with On3, but the comparisons for him, and when you talk about player comparisons, especially to NFL players, it's tricky because so many people to say, oh, you think he's that good? Like, no, it's a stylistic comparison. And for Blair, this first play here, so he's this deep third safety here. He reads run, he comes up, he makes a stop. Like, in the whole first part of this film is him in run support. He screams Kyle Hamilton stylistically. He just does. Kyle Hamilton, when he finished up at Notre Dame after 3 seasons, 6'4", 220. Blair right now is 6'4.5", 195. I'm pretty sure you can look up what Kyle Hamilton was coming into Notre Dame. I'm sure it was like 190, 195. Like, they have the similar body types. They play similarly. Like, across the board, like, he just screams Kyle Hamilton stylistically. Now, can he be as good as Kyle Hamilton? Remains to be seen. But yeah, Mark in the chat said, who'd you compare him to style of play wise, body type wise? Body type 100% is Kyle Hamilton. Style of play, I mean, you can find that article I mentioned about Charles Power earlier, and he talked about the comparisons. Tim Hyde's talked about the comparisons. They are striking, and that's a pretty good thing to hear if you're a Notre Dame fan.
Well, you mentioned the height and weight. I don't even think you mentioned the wingspan and the arm length. I mean, we're really diving into some niche things here with some of those. But, I mean, Charles Power, On3's director of recruiting and scouting, measured JaDon Blair's arms at the On3 Elite Series in Nashville back in May. 33-inch arms. That's identical to Kyle Hamilton's arm length at the NFL Scouting Combine in 2022. JaDon Blair's wingspan, 6'7", right around what Kyle Hamilton measured at the NFL Combine as well. So I mentioned this in my 5 Thoughts story that you can check out on the front page of Blue and Gold right now. Kyle Hamilton and JaDon, or like over the last, since Kyle Hamilton was a freshman at Notre Dame, I'm sure that Notre Dame has used him as a pitch on the recruiting trail. I joined the Notre Dame beat, I think, 2 years ago. I've heard it in all the safety recruits I've talked to. And I'm sure it's played a role in helping them sign the 8 safeties they did since Kyle Hamilton and the 2 that they have verbally committed before today, in Ethan Long and Ivan Taylor. But there is no one in that group of about 10 players that compares better than JaDon Blair to Kyle Hamilton. When you see what he has on film and what you see with his body type and measurables, it's like such a stark comparison. And I really like the way Charles Power put it in your expert's reaction story, basically saying that just like Kyle Hamilton, he's going to be the queen on the chessboard of that Notre Dame defense. And I really think that's what it's going to be. I mean, so when Kyle Hamilton was at Notre Dame, he just didn't play free safety or strong safety. He was in the box. He played a lot of nickel. Like, I see JaDon Blair being that exact type of player. And Ivan Taylor also has similar versatility. And then there's, Ethan Long, who I think is going to play strong safety or, free safety, mix and match with Blair. But I'm really hoping we get Blair in the show because I want to ask him kind of like how he views himself in that defense alongside Ethan Long and Ivan Taylor. But, yeah, I mean, I don't want to compare JaDon Blair's like potential college career and the production that will come of it to Kyle Hamilton. But I think in terms of pure measurables that, the comparisons are obviously there.
Off the field, he's tremendous. JaDon Blair, I got to meet him and his dad at the On3 Elite Series, just interviewing JaDon the past, year and a half since he got his offer from the Irish. I know, Kyle, you've got to talk to the Blair family as well. They are super impressive people. And I talked about that. Like, I don't know, it's a cliche to say, I don't know if he's more impressive on or off the field, but it very much does ring true. And we do have the Blair family on here.
We got this one.
Can you guys hear us? We got our
Oh, what a family there. That's awesome.
We got our technical difficulties figured out there.
Yeah.
That is
Jay,
Yo.
how we doing, man? How we feeling?
Hey, man, I'm feeling sweet, bro. I'm feeling great.
Kyle, you want to start?
That's fine.
Boy, what a process. Going back to, over a year ago when Chris O'Leary offered back in April. So much has happened since then. And I know Josh Newberg was trying to ask, like, once you committed, JaDon, like, how's it feel? But I know you couldn't hear him, so I'm going to ask it myself, man. I mean, just like, how does it feel to have this process in the rearview mirror wrapped up, and now that you can finally say you're committed to Notre Dame?
Man, it feels extremely great. Throughout the whole process, man, it was extremely great, man. Just the way they recruited me and showed the love. And like I've said multiple times to you guys, every single day, I was getting a text or a call from Coach Freeman, Chad, Coach Mickens, Coach Al Golden, and that all right there just sealed the deal for me. It was something special. I knew that from that moment that how much they wanted me in that program and how much they wanted me in that program to succeed. And that right there, I mean, you really can't beat that in my opinion. Like I've told you guys, when I went up there a couple of times, and each time I went up there, like when Coach O'Leary left, I met Coach Mickens, and like from that point, it just grown. And I'm forever blessed and grateful to be in the situation I'm in. And Notre Dame just felt like the great school for me. It just felt right. Like they said, I prayed to God about it, man. I woke up, and of course you have doubts because you're not going to be 100% sure, but once I talked to my parents and really got over those doubts and those fears of it might not be, but Notre Dame, I feel, is definitely the place for me.
That's awesome, man. I know, like, before you joined, Mike and I were talking about Kyle Hamilton, former Notre Dame All-American safety, first-round draft pick in the NFL. And you guys are just like spit images of each other in terms of height, weight, arm length, wingspan, the whole bit. How much did Kyle Hamilton actually come up in the recruiting process when Notre Dame was pitching you, where they saw you in the defense, and everything of that sort? I mean, was Kyle Hamilton a name that was frequently mentioned to you during the process?
Yes, sir, definitely. Kyle Hamilton was extremely a name mentioned to me a lot in the process throughout the whole time. Just saying you're the next Kyle Hamilton to be at Notre Dame, and it was I was real grateful to be under his shoes and stuff like that. But I'm just not there yet where he's at. That guy went to Notre Dame, was a great safety. All-American. I haven't did nothing yet in the Notre Dame jersey, and I'm grateful for all the hype, but I have to prove that to the Notre Dame fan base. I have to prove that to the coaches that I can be just as good or better than Kyle Hamilton. I mean, that man's in the NFL Pro Bowler. It's going to be, he has the potential to be a Hall of Famer, just being honest. A great safety. And I have to live up to those expectations, which I believe I will do that with the help of Coach Mickens and Coach Al Golden.
You joined a Notre Dame safety class with Ethan Long and Ivan Taylor, who I know are guys that you've really connected with well during the recruiting process. So I'm sure it's exciting to join them like off the field and already have that connection. But on the field, I think I'm really interested to see how all three of you guys will fit in the Notre Dame defense. How has Notre Dame pitched that? How do they see all three of you guys playing on the field at the same time? What have they told you about how they're going to use all three of your guys' capabilities?
So for me and Ethan, we go back since the beginning of the recruiting process. I've known him for a very long time, and we built a strong relationship. Him and my parents and his parents. We go back for a pretty while. And when I had like my third offer, I've known him. And Ivan, I picked up on him when I went. I'm pretty sure I went to Notre Dame, and I got to meet him and his dad. No, I was at Louisville, and I got to meet him and his dad. And since that point, I've had a great relationship with him as well. But really, the key factor to this was really Deuce Knight, the quarterback. I mean, he's supposed to do that. He's the quarterback, but one of my favorite players Notre Dame has. Great dude, great all-around player, man. He's definitely a future highlight reel, man. He's great, just a great quarterback, willing to learn like everybody else has said. But just like the way they see me in the system with those other safeties, Ivan Taylor can play a lot of different positions, man. He has great cover man skills, real quick, fast twitch, extremely fast. I can see him in the nickel. My boy Ethan Long, like another great player, man, real smart. He makes plays on the ball. He can open up and cover ground, cover the field, and just me as well. I feel like my strong attributes are covering ground, running the alley, making plays on the ball because of my long-ranging arms. And with that DB core right there, I just don't feel like it's no other one. And I don't even want to get started on the corners. Mark Zachary, Dallas Golden, them two right there. I mean, it's just pretty hard to beat.
JaDon, when you talked to me the other day about your commitment, and then you even mentioned on the live stream, he is him.
Right.
Like a lot of people say, hey, I'm him. Tell me about that. I know that's something that's important to you.
Yeah, that's extremely important to me because, a lot of players, a lot of people in the NFL say, I am him, and college say, I am him. And that could be true, but you are not him without him up above. And I believe that's why I said he is him. That's where that originated from. That's where that brand came from. And that's just giving glory to God because in my opinion, none of us would be here if it wasn't for God allowing us to be in this situation, blessing us with the athletic ability to be good enough, to train hard enough, to give us that mental mindset, to push past, to get past adversity. It's definitely God, in my opinion, and the blessings that we have and the blessings where I am now, it's all because of God, and that's why I give my glory to, and that's why I say He is Him.
Hey, I just want to mention, I noticed the gear before you guys have all this Notre Dame gear on. I see the chain. I love the On3 Elite Series gear, man. So I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah.
Love that. Kyle, I'll go to you real quick.
Yeah, JaDon, is that your mom sitting to your left there?
Yeah, it is my mom.
That mom? Okay, I've talked to Dad before, but I haven't got to talk to Mom, so I want to ask Mom a question. You got JaDon going all the way to South Bend, Indiana for college. What makes you feel so comfortable about Notre Dame, that staff, the school? How did you sign off on that decision for him to go to Notre Dame?
Well, it would be
Yeah,
how
be louder.
involved
Be louder.
their wives are. Coach Mickens' wife, when I first met her, she let me know that she's like a second mom to the DBs, and anything that her husband can't handle, that she tries her best to handle. And in an event that she can't, she's going to reach out to us immediately. So I feel like they're going to take care of him just like as close as I would. So I'm very confident.
What was that something that was just unique to Notre Dame, the involvement of the coaching staff's wives, or was that something that you saw and when you talked to a lot of the other coaches, going on these official visits and things like that?
I think just Notre Dame.
For you?
Yeah, for me. Yeah, for me, just Notre Dame.
Very nice. Wow.
Jay,
Yo,
I know you have a lot to say, so I just want to give you the floor. What are
No.
you thinking right now, man? What's going on in your head as someone who had a cup of coffee professionally, right? You played overseas, you played in the NFL. You know how important life after football is, right? It's not just something that like that's a real thing to you. You played professionally. Now you
Right.
have to live after you're done. So I mean, that's something that Notre Dame pitches, and you can explain that to your son as well.
Oh, definitely. What it broke down to was we're not just doing life after football, right? We're doing life during football, and the connections that Notre Dame has, the people that they have, that at a moment's call, is amazing. That support system through it all is amazing. We went into this with non-negotiables, and one of the non-negotiables was the degree had to have power and influence, right? And Notre Dame is worldwide. It's not a national brand; it's an international brand. So you put Mendoza School of Business degree in his hand that he earns. Um, the sky's the limit. The sky's not even the limit. It's the stars. It's well beyond all of that, you know. So it's always been about more than just football with me, and with the rest of us, with my family. So when it came down to choosing Notre Dame, when he told me that, I was like, "Go get it. It's all about you, kid."
I'm sure you would have been happy with all of his choices, if or maybe a few, but most of them for sure.
The thing is, right, this Mike, and I didn't want to cut you off.
No, you're good.
This is the thing. It couldn't have went wrong.
Right.
Okay. You hear how he talks with the covering on this life that he has from our personal Lord and Savior. He can't go wrong. You know, he can't. He came down to about 4 or 5 great institutions, and all of them were they're neck and neck. So you had to find that 0.5% thing that's different, and gets one above the rest. And we found that he found that in Notre Dame, and when he told me that that's where he was going to go, hey man, I was all for it.
Tell me about your interactions with the staff. You're excited. I know you, Jay. I know you're pumped up about where your son's going to school.
Hey, leave me alone, Mike. I'm going to wait until I get out this camera, and I might drop a tear or two out of joy for this dude. Hey man, like talking to Coach Freeman, right? And I told him, I was like, man, you got it. You know, I told Coach Freeman, I said, you got it. You have the trust of the team, you have the heartbeat of the team, and you have the knowledge of what they can be, right? And that's rare that a coach is that connected in all facets of their team and of the game. I mean, he knows what's going on in the locker room before it goes on in the locker room. Make sense? So knowing that, he jokes about all the cameras he got too. So yeah. So knowing that, man, and then having Mick there, who's been a childhood friend of Freeman's. You know, you're not gonna stay friends that long if you're not like-minded, right? So if the head coach is that, then I can only expect that from the position coach as well.
all the way to my guy Chad, man. Chad had a chance to leave Notre Dame this year. And you know, he's the recruiting coordinator and GM and everything like that. He had a chance to leave Notre Dame, and he was just like, I can't leave because it's something special about this place. The more we went up there, the more we were able to live in that special. You know, Notre Dame is special, and we love it for our son. And the next 3 to 4 years, man, hey, get ready, South Bend. We in the building.
Hey, Jay, last thing I'll let you go. What are you guys up to this weekend? Any good plans? Kind of chill? Maybe no interviews for a couple of days, if you can fathom that?
Mike, what have I been doing for the last month?
Traveling, airport.
And talking, right? I want to chill. Y'all can call him. Just call him.
Blair family, really appreciate you guys for announcing with On3, hopping on with us. Congratulations on your commitment, JaDon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Right. Yep,
thanks,
man.
Kyle.
See you.
Dude, they're awesome. I'm so happy that got to work out, man. How about that, Kyle?
The first family of the Notre Dame secondary there.
First family, I love it. So
It is
yeah,
awesome.
they're
awesome.
great. I mean, I really wanted to get them on here because they're a fantastic family. I haven't got to talk to the mom yet either, like you said you hadn't. But from my conversations with JaDon, not only on the phone but in person at the Nashville On3 Elite Series event, as well as sitting out with Jay for 15 minutes when I got to talk with him, they're special. Great ambassadors of the university. Like they're people you want or in and around your football program. So yeah, they took 7 official visits, 5 of them just in the month of June. So it was pretty much back to back. So yeah, when he said, Mike, what have you been up to? I had just talked to him the other day and he was like, man, I'm tired of airports. He told me he was tired of eating all this good food because it's a lot of eating on those official visits. So I don't know, that's why I kind of want to sneak that last question in. Like, what are you guys doing now? Because I knew it's just going to be chill, relax. One more thing before I throw it over to you, Kyle. Today's his 17th birthday. He's going into his – so when I was a junior in high school, I turned 17 – I think it was like the 3rd or 4th day of high school. He's turning 17 going into his senior year, the July going into his senior year. So he's young for his cycle. So that projects to him just continuing. He's a baby for his class. He's on the younger end. So that projects to him continuing to grow and develop. The sky is the limit. I honestly would not be surprised if by the time his high school days are done, the All-American, I don't know if he's playing one of those bowl games, Kyle, but by the time this is all over, he's nearing 5-star status. It would not surprise me at all.
That's where Charles Power had him earlier in the cycle. Yeah, he had him within the top 32 guys, which qualifies 5-star guys. And just to reiterate that the way that the recruiting system works, at least at On3, is projects as to what these recruits are going to be as NFL players. There's 32
NFL draft picks,
yes. 32 teams, 32 NFL draft picks in the first round, therefore 32 5-stars. So that's how that works. And I'm with you, man. And I think JaDon has that potential. And I know Charles he's big on upside. And I think Blair's got upside written all over him. But the crazy thing here to me is when you look at him with Ethan Long and Ivan Taylor, who are both really dang good prospects. Even though Blair is 17 years old, just turned 17 today, he might be the most college ready of those guys in terms of size and the competition that he plays and pedigree, everything like that, to go play at Notre Dame. I'm just excited to see when these guys get up to campus. I wrote up my 5 thoughts. I can't wait to see what Al Golden does with this secondary because there are so many guys that can play multiple positions. Mark Zachary, he can play any of the corner spots. He can play slot cornerback. Ivan Taylor, we've talked about so many times how even JaDon said how Ivan could be a great nickel. Dallas Golden truly can play anywhere on the football field, including on offense. Like, that guy can play all over the secondary. Like, on 3 scouts, Dallas Golden is a safety, even though Notre Dame's recruiting him as a corner. So there's just a ton of versatility in this defense now. And just like I know, Mike, you have a little bit more of perspective on this than me, but just like how far Notre Dame defensive back recruiting has come under Mike Mickens.
Yeah.
Like, it's light years, and now we're hoping to see that with wide receiver under Mike Brown.
Yeah.
And really impressive.
Yeah, my first class cover Notre Dame was that 2020 cycle, and it was Xavier Watts was a receiver, so he doesn't even count for this. It was Landon Bartleson, who got in trouble with the law, so he never ended up at Notre Dame. Caleb Offord, who never did anything at Notre Dame, transferred out. Clarence Lewis, fine career at Notre Dame, started some role player. Where did he end up? Syracuse, Rutgers. Where did Clarence end up?
Syracuse.
And then Ramon Henderson, another like role player. That's what it was to now. And just go on paper for this. Like, I think all those guys were 3 stars. Like, and you go to now where it's at the end of this cycle. I don't think any of them will be 3 stars. Like Long and Thomas are like borderline. They're close to 4 stars. I think Rivals might have both as 4 stars, but the industry ranking has them both as high 3s, close to being 4. So it's just a completely different level. Drew says he's 17. Crazy how well he does with interviews. I was thinking about that as well. When I was 17, I couldn't complete a sentence in front of a girl. You know, heck, in my early 20s, I was still awful with public speaking. You can even debate. In my 30s now, I'm not great at it. I stumble over myself talking all the time. He's 17, and he's fantastic in these interviews. So JaDon Blair committing to Notre Dame. It's a big deal. It's a big deal for the Irish to get this kid committed. Kyle, any last thoughts before we get out of here?
Got to keep them committed. But no, I think all these guys are, even Ivan Taylor, who officially visited Alabama, Michigan, made unofficial to Florida. I lean towards him second in the class. I feel really good about where Notre Dame is at with most of these guys. And I'm sure Notre Dame feels really good about this class being mostly wrapped up.
Yeah.
We said it earlier in the show. I mean, there's 5 guys left on the board, the 2 linebackers and 3 wide receivers.
Yeah.
And now they're really going to start turning all their attention to 2026.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned the 5 guys left on the board. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of 6 with Brandon Logan from Fort Wayne as the kind of a Dylan Faison type with, playing another sport. But if he commits to Notre Dame, he's a Vanderbilt baseball commit right now. Could be a defensive back in Notre Dame, could play safety, versatile guy. For all intents and purposes, he'd be considered part of the class. But, when you get into the weeds of it, maybe not a Notre Dame scholarship guy at first, but different discussion for a different day. I do want to throw out there, like, it's very much fluid. Kyle, you know that. I mean, most people, it's just, that. It's just something to remind you guys, like, Notre Dame could offer new players tomorrow. Like, they could decide, hey, now we want a 4th offensive lineman. So it is 5 right now with the 3 receivers, Hines, Meadows, Robinson, 2 linebackers, Usu, Boateng, and Farimo, and then Brandon Logan as kind of your extra variable. But yeah, it's fluid. It's to be determined. Things can always change. So that's it. Little special live show here on your Friday. Talk about this commitment. If you missed any of the show, just tuning in, go ahead and rewind, watch from the beginning. Kyle and I talked about this commitment, talked about the Notre Dame's 2025 class. Then got to hear from the Blair family, JaDon and his parents. And then, some wrap-up fodder as well. But that will end this show. Please hit the thumbs up on this video if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening via podcast and you like the show, please leave us a 5-star review, whether that's on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. I'm Mike Singer. He's Kyle Kelly. Enjoy your holiday weekend, folks. We will catch you next time.